Greetings, everyone. Welcome to our June DBT lesson, where we are going to wrap up distress tolerance. These are two of my favorite ways to practice distress tolerance, where we self-soothe using the 5 senses. And then the other one, we got to have another acronym, improving the moment. And yes, improve, IMPROVE. That's our acronym for the month. That one is going to stand. Each one of those letters is going to stand for something. I'll get into that later. I want to start off with self-soothing. It's one of my favorites, I think, because it's so simple and you can really do almost anything as long as it is self-soothing your senses. Self-soothing is doing things that feel pleasant, comforting, and provide relief from stress or pain. And it just makes it much easier to pass the time without making things worse. If you're able to find something, of course, that is soothing for you. So what is it? It's being comforting, nurturing, and gentle, and mindfully kind to yourself. Soothing yourself in a mindful, meaning non-judgmental way. Now, when should you do this? Well, we're talking about distress tolerance. So if you're in a state of distress, then of course different self-soothing activities reduce your vulnerability to the emotion mind and to acting impulsively. They can help you tolerate pain and distress without making things worse. And that is over time going to build up your resilience as well. So the easiest basic way to explain how to self-soothe is to utilize your 5 senses. And I'm sure you have heard the mindfulness technique of identifying 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can smell, and then 2 things you can either touch or taste, and then of course 1 thing you can either touch or taste, depending on what you have access to. So I do have all kinds of examples. I won't bore you with so many of them. I'll just do a few of each, but we'll of course include this more in depth in our mindfulness hub. So once again, a way to remember these skills is to think of soothing each of your 5 senses. So we'll start with the sense of sight or vision. Looking at the stars at night, or looking at pictures of your close friends or loved ones. My favorite, of course, is nature. I feel like I'm biased towards going outside, just watching a sunset, watching the nature around you, and just force yourself to identify 5 specific things that you see in nature. It is a great way to bring you back to the present and ground you. Now with hearing, 4 things you can hear. Listen to those sounds of nature, of course. Waves, birds, leaves rustling. Or if you're in the city, traffic, car horns, maybe some music. Speaking of music, one of my favorite ways to self-soothe. Any song, really. Music can help us get in touch with so many emotions. Now with smell, of course. Incense, sage, scented candles, essential oils. Or, you know what, just open the window and smell the fresh air. Get some fresh oxygen into your lungs while you're smelling the air. And then, of course, with taste, depending on what you have around you, if you've got a piece of gum, candy, something to drink. And then touch. Pet your cat or dog. Put lotion on your own body. Hug somebody. Wrap yourself up in a blanket. I truly love my weighted blanket. It's so much harder to sleep now without it. And so there you have just a few examples of how you can self-soothe through your 5 senses. But definitely be easy with yourself. Do not judge yourself. Don't be hard on yourself if you have any difficulty with self-soothing through your senses. Make sure that you're in your window of tolerance before you do any of these activities. Another important point I want to make is to balance your self-soothing with focusing and working on a task. This is especially important during crises when sudden demands can feel overwhelming and keep you from doing what you want to do. This point is basically just to remind you not to get too stuck in a self-soothing activity if you do need to respond to something. Depending on the crisis, self-soothing alone might not be enough, and so you might have to use another distress tolerance skill I might have mentioned in earlier months, or even an emotional regulation skill, which I'm going to go over starting next month. Now, one of my favorite ways to self-soothe is with a body scan meditation. I'm not going to go through an entire meditation right now because I do have that within the Mindfulness Hub. I just wanted to go over just some basics whenever you're ready to start your body scan meditation. Make sure you're in a comfortable position. I think it's better to lie down, but you can just sit in a comfortable chair. I also think it's better to close your eyes, but if you want to just focus on one single point, then that's okay too. Don't worry if you notice that thoughts or sounds or other sensations come into your awareness during your body scan. Just notice them and then gently refocus. Don't worry if your mind has been drawn away from the object of your attention, and if you find yourself thinking about something else, it is so natural. It always happens. So be easy on yourself. Calmly and gently go back to what you were doing before. It truly is the bringing of your attention back over and over without judgment or harshness that is the essential element of the meditation. So whenever you're ready, flip on over to my body scan meditation and enjoy that relaxation. Notice how you feel before, and then notice how you feel after. Now, of course, it wouldn't be a DBT lesson without an acronym. So this month's acronym is IMPROVE. A way to remember some self-soothing skills or some distress tolerance skills is the word improve. I is for imagery. M is for meaning. P is for prayer. R is for relaxing. O is for one thing in the moment. V is for vacation, and E is for encouragement or self-encouragement. So I'll briefly go into each of these. So with imagery, imagine relaxing scenes. Imagine a secret room within yourself. Close and lock the door on that room so that no one can hurt you. Imagine everything going well, or you can even remember a happy time that already happened and remember you going through it again. M is for meaning. Find purpose or meaning in a painful situation. Focus on whatever positive aspects of a painful situation that you can find. P is for prayer. Pretty self-explanatory. If you are in touch with a higher power, whatever higher power is that you choose, see if you can turn things over to that higher being, asking for strength to bear the pain. R is for relaxing actions, taking a hot bath, practicing yoga, breathing deeply, anything you find relaxing. O is for one thing in the moment. So focus your entire attention on that one thing that you're doing. Keep yourself in the moment. Put your mind in the present. V is for vacation, a brief vacation. Now, how do you give yourself a brief vacation? Well, you can get into bed, pull the covers up over your head for a few minutes, and use some imagery to imagine yourself wherever you'd like. You can also take a blanket to the park and sit there for the afternoon. Turn off your phone for a day. Yes, instant vacation. Turn your phone off. And finally, E, encouragement. Self-encouragement and rethinking the situation. Encouraging yourself, you've got this. I will make it out of this. I'm doing the best I can. This too shall pass. Everything will be okay. I think I end up encouraging myself at some point, multiple times a week, for sure. So I absolutely encourage you to do the same. Now, finally, I have one little exercise that is another way to improve the moment, we'll say. So I will do a variation of a body scan or sensory awareness exercise with you. So find a comfortable position. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. Listen to the questions below and see if you can notice your own personal responses after each question. Now, can you feel your hair touching your head? Can you feel your belly rising and falling as you breathe? Can you feel the space between your eyes? Can you feel the distance between your ears? Can you feel your breath touching the back of your eyes while you inhale? Can you notice your arms touching your body? Can you feel the bottoms of your feet? Can you notice the space within your mouth? Can you feel how one arm is heavier than the other? Can you feel how one arm is more relaxed than the other? Can you feel a heaviness in your legs? Can you feel your face getting soft? Can you imagine a beautiful day at the beach? Can you feel a breeze against your cheek? Can you feel a change in the temperature in the air around you? Can you imagine what it would feel like to float on a cloud? Can you imagine what it would feel like to be stuck in molasses? Can you imagine floating in warm water? Can you allow yourself to drift lazily? Now, those were almost 20-something, almost 30 questions. But if you're in a crisis or when you have very little time and you feel yourself starting to disassociate, you can ask yourself 2 or 3 of these questions as a way to ground yourself in the present and to hopefully bring your arousal down and tolerate that distressing situation. I appreciate you joining me for this month and every month to learn about DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy. All of these skills are so important with helping us tolerate distress, improve our mindfulness, regulate our emotions, and improve our interpersonal connectiveness. I hope you feel a little bit more prepared to tolerate distress after these few months. Join me next month as we learn how to regulate our emotions using various skills and activities. As always, stay kind to yourself,